Alert! Alert! Sickos unite. Diehards gather round. The Cubs finally made a big move. The trade you've all been waiting for. It happened. It happened. Gather round. Live podcast coming up from the CHGO Cubs. It's breaking news. Kyle Tucker to the Cubs. They have a star, and it starts right now. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs Podcast. It's an emergency edition of the CHGO Cubs, and it is, believe it or not, Friday the 13th. That's the day Jed Hoyer chooses to be brave. Friday the 13th, mark it down. It will live in infamy in Cubs history. Luke Stuckmeyer, Cody Delmendo, and Kevin Wells with you. The live YouTube chat is up and rocking already. Everybody's excited. Nick, the creator, says Delulu lives in Cody. It happened. He did it. Jed Hoyer went and got himself a star. Now the question that we will spend the rest of the winter and probably all of next year debating is, was it worth it? Was it worth it? Now, we've all demanded that they get a star player. Guys, we all demand, like, get me a superstar. He may not be one of the 5 best players in baseball, but when you talk about star players in baseball, Kyle Tucker is certainly on the list. The deal that's being reported out there and confirmed by some is Kyle Tucker to the Cubs. You have Hayden Wesneski going to the Astros, and you have former first-round pick Cam Smith, third baseman, going to the Astros, and Isaac Paredes, a.k.a. Christopher Morel, going to the Astros. My first reaction is this. Beep, 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 beep. We finally have a pulse. The Cubs have shown the world they have a pulse. I don't know if it's a good pulse. I don't know if it's the right pulse, but amen. They have shown us they have a pulse.
Cody, the floor is yours.
Fellas, for 3 years, we have been sitting here waiting for this organization to be what my guy Don Frederick, what all of my good friends on Cubs Twitter say, to be the goddamn Chicago Cubs, to just be the big market organization, to be a team that just goes out there and does what big market teams like them do. Yes, for sure. We're going to talk about, will they get the extension done next year? And next winter, a year from now. Yes, it absolutely gives me concern, some anxiety, but it's better than running it back with the same roster. That's the bottom line. This team needed a shakeup. Absolutely needed a shakeup. And also, unless I got the calendar wrong, it's December 13th. The offseason is young. They're not going to be done after this. So don't tell me that, oh, this move is it, and then there's nothing going to happen. Now, we are Cubs fans, so it would be very Cubs, I guess, if that were to happen. However, Jed is smarter than that. I will give Jed credit there. He is smarter than that. They are not done. They are going to move Bellinger, probably to the Yankees, whatever. But at the pure base of all of this, this is like, I haven't felt like this in years. Like, this is the day this organization's finally showing its fan base that, hey, we're trying. We're not going out and getting a veteran past this prime, or a guy coming off a couple bad years and you're looking for lightning in a bottle on a bounce back. This is one of the best outfielders in all of baseball. And yeah, you gave up Cam Smith, and you gave up a couple years of Isaac Paredes, who's also cheap, and you gave up Hayden Wesneski that, sure, we've made the argument he has some of the best stuff on the Cubs, but he just, he hasn't developed into like a huge, contributor with this team, right? I think everyone's more concerned about moving Cam Smith than anything else here, right? But he's not like what best case scenario for the Astros. He's on their team in 2020, like late 2026, depending on how this season goes.
The heir to Paredes, right?
Right.
That's
like
he's,
oh yeah. Paredes probably more of a bridge player for them at this point. So like, I don't know, like come yell at me in 15 years if Cam Smith is on the Hall of Fame trajectory. And I don't know. This is just a move that I feel like this organization needed to do. This is also an opportunity where they can maybe shift the perception at some point of how fans feel about ownership and stuff like that. It's something, it's refreshing. It's a breath of fresh air. And it's not for just like a like good player. Like this is one of the better outfielders in baseball, man. This is one of the better outfielders in baseball. So I think the risk is worth the reward here. And if they come to a contract extension next winter, awesome. Plus you didn't even have to give up Shaw. You didn't give up Casey or Alcantara as much as preferably for me, because I think they only make this deal if they're really going to try and get that extension done. Preferably for me, I would have rather moved Casey or Alcantara and kept Smith. But listen, this is better than what 3 days ago people thought it was going to be Shaw, Smith, and Paredes or Seiya Suzuki in this deal. Like, I honestly, I think all of us are probably mostly concerned about Cam Smith and if they can get the extension done. And for a player of this caliber, I just think that it's worth it. It's worth it for this risk. They haven't been doing any risking. This is something that Luke especially has talked about. So
begged for it.
I'm excited. Now what's next? Are we moving Nico? What are we getting for Bellinger? Like what's next? I'm just happy to know that it actually happened. And above all, as one of Jed Hoyer's biggest detractors the last 6 months, I'm giving Jed Hoyer all the credit in the world here. I've given a nice round of applause. You remember when we gave them all Fs for 2024? Yeah. We should go back to that tweet and then say that we can push the narrative that we lit a fire under Jed Hoyer. Credit to us, Luke. Credit to us.
The year's not over. So his 2024 grade has slightly changed, maybe. Fernando.
Well, it was for the 2024 season, Luke.
That's right. You're right.
And how they built the team. So that's why I say that. But yeah, I think I got it all out. I'm really excited about the future of the organization, depending on what happens next. They can't just stop here. And I don't believe that they will just stop here, but we needed that adrenaline boost. We needed something that will give us some sort of interest in this team next year. And again, I understand the concern related to the contract, but this is one of the better outfielders in all of baseball. And you got to keep Seiya. And you got to keep most of your top prospects. I got no
complaints. Cody, take a breath. Take a breath. DFW Susie wants to know how many times Cody's had to change his pants in the last 4 minutes. Probably a lot.
Set the total at 10.
Fernando Rodriguez, the super chat, $4.99. Is this for real? I just canceled my season tickets already. It's for real. It's for real. Kevin, what do you got? What's your initial reaction?
Well, my phone's been ringing off the hook for Cubs season tickets. Like, yeah, one rep continues to contact me about it. I might pick up the phone now. This is a move that really pushes the chips in, right? I mean, I think a lot of people are going to look at this right away and say, okay, Cody Bellinger had a really good year 2 years ago with the Chicago Cubs. I want you to imagine the year Cody Bellinger had 2 years ago was the best hitter the Cubs had in 5 years since 2018, 2019, Javi Baez's MVP candidate. Imagine that, but much better, much more slug, more walks, a guy who's projected for at least 3 more WAR this next year. I believe Kyle Tucker, I'm checking his zips, 5.6 WAR projection for Kyle Tucker this year. Bellinger's projected at a 2.2. You're going to notice the difference immediately in this lineup. Kyle Tucker, not only is he a great player, he's an MVP level player who could potentially win an MVP if he has the type of year. He was top 5 in MVP voting just a couple of years ago, 3 straight 5-WAR seasons. This is the type of move we've dreamed about because it transforms an entire lineup and allows you to do so many things with your lineup now. You're going to allow a lot of guys to kind of grow into power roles. Maybe Michael Busch now, there's not as much pressure on him to go out and hit 25 to 30 home runs a year. It allows him to, because Kyle Tucker is going to give you that 35 to 40 home run season at Wrigley Field. Cody Bellinger wasn't going to do that. There was no player in that lineup that was going to do that. And quite frankly, I didn't think there was going to be a player available this offseason that would allow you to do that except for Juan Soto. And we knew 3 months ago that they were out on him. So this is a great shot in the arm for this team. I mean, Kyle Tucker takes them from an 83 win team much closer to that 90 win threshold that we heard Craig Counsell talk about. And you can't stop here. I don't think they will. Like Cody said, I think there's other subsequent moves that will come along with this, but this is exciting. Kyle Tucker, he's not a name you hear about all the time unless you're, the Astros have been in, 7 straight ALCSs. So you've heard his name in the postseason, but you maybe haven't heard him along with the greats in the game. He's not really mentioned with Mookie, Ohtani, Juan Soto, but he's on that playing field. He's probably the step just below them, but still a top 10 hitter in baseball, still has the potential to win you an MVP this year. And that's why you go out and you trade a top level prospect into players in your system to make a move like this. You had the depth and you did it. This is a great move from Jed Hoyer. Props to him.
Let's all make a promise to each other. There's a few minutes left in the first segment. Nobody can say anything negative about the deal until the second segment. Okay. If there's any pessimism, we're all going to leave. The off season's long enough. The last few years have been long enough. No negative thoughts in the first segment. Just know that you have Kyle Tucker and you've been able to hang on to, for the moment, Seiya and Bellinger. Whatever happens after this, that's the great news. All of a sudden you have a player that is a superstar on this team. And Cody, no offense, but this is now officially the best Friday 120 club we have ever done. And it's not even at Wrigley Field, right? The news came right around 1:20 on a Friday afternoon. It had nothing to do with Wrigley Field. I don't know where Braggs is. I don't see Bleacher Jeff anywhere, although he could join in the chat at some point. This is pretty good news. Here's another super chat as Ryan Herrera has now joined us. Joke's on all of us. Jed saw people were not renewing season tickets and said, okay, I've got to do something now. Hey, that's close to negativity. I don't want the negativity.
You should have saved that one for the second segment. Yeah, you should have saved that one for the second segment.
Ryan, as far as I can tell, this is everything Cody asked Santa for Christmas for. Seiya's on the team. The big piece going back is a prospect, but it's not Shaw. Okay. And Isaac Paredes, let's be honest, he didn't overwhelm anybody after the Morel trade. He didn't. He might be better for the Astros. And yes, you got to figure out third base, but it sure looks like Matt Shaw is going to get some playing time in the upcoming future. What are your initial reactions to Kyle Tucker to the Cubs?
Kyle Tucker to the Cubs? That happened?
It happened. I know. It doesn't seem like it's possible.
It's bigger than
I could be dreaming.
No, I think, like you mentioned Suzuki right there. And like, I think when those reports were first coming out and like it was Paredes and Suzuki and Smith, just felt like it was too much. This feels more like I would look at it as like, yeah, losing Cam Smith hurts, right? If you're like, he's a good prospect, had a lot of success right away, could have been the third baseman of the future, right? Like there's all that kind of stuff. But this is a move that the Cubs needed to make. You've been banging the table for a superstar, and it feels like the Cubs just got one. I know he only played a little over or a little under half the games last season. I think it was a right shin injury. I don't remember exactly what it was. But when he was on the field, he was
stress
incredible.
Reaction, I believe.
He was incredible when he was on the field. And that you need to pay for that. I think we kind of went into it when those reports started coming out as far as like, it was going to hurt to see who did get traded, right? Like, but that's kind of the price you need to pay, even if it is for a 1-year rental player. Now, I would assume Jed's going to be doing everything he can to get an extension signed before Kyle Tucker hits free agency. But like something we learned over during the winter meetings was that the Cubs were willing to make a move like this, even if it was a 1-year player, and give up assets that have more control. They were willing to trade future wins for current wins And this is we talk about the offense all off season and how they're going to improve it, and they needed to make trades to improve it because there just were too many positions filled by guys returning. This is the kind of move that they needed to make to improve their offense, and Kyle Tucker's a massive upgrade, a massive addition to the offense. And I mean, the outlook in a split second, the outlook on the Cubs 2025 season has changed, and I think that's a testament to kind of just the player that Kyle Tucker is. He's a really good player, a really good hitter, and he's gonna be a massive addition for this ball club on the offensive side, right in the middle of the order. It's huge.
This is what CHGO Cubs is all about. We've got almost 900 people live on a Friday afternoon in the middle of a work day, school day, talking about the Cubs and Kyle Tucker. First, we want to tell you about some of our great sponsors here at CHGO Cubs. Some beers can say they're brewed for baseball, but only Blue Moon is brewed by baseball. Beer and baseball just go together, and no beer goes better than the one that was literally born in a ballpark. Blue Moon was created at Coors Field in Denver. It's the natural choice all season long. Blue Moon isn't just another beer. It's a whole different experience. So why strike out with the same old beer when you can get something that's one of a kind? A beer this good only comes around once in a Blue Moon, but you can enjoy it all holiday season long. Bring the ballpark to you with Blue Moon Belgian style wheat ale. It's one of a kind every time. Get Blue Moon delivered by visiting get.bluemoonbeer.com/Cubs. Hey, ComEd. Ryan, did you know that ComEd can help businesses save money by becoming more energy efficient?
You know what, Luke? I actually I've been at the winter meetings all week. Yeah. I actually had no idea that happened. That they do that.
It's true. The energy efficiency program can help find up to 35% in energy savings.
So how can a business actually get to that?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so simple. All you have to do is sign up for the free facility assessment at comed.com/biz. Why aren't more people doing it? I don't know. Maybe they're just forgetting the website, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, that's possible. I was kind of thinking the same thing. comed.com/biz. comed.com/biz. comed.com/biz.
That'll do it, Ryan. Terms and conditions apply. Offers are subject to change. Actual savings will vary by customer's energy usage and rate. The ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is funded in compliance with state law. I can't keep up with the live YouTube chat.
I think we had another super chat that we didn't read.
We got another super chat that came in?
I thought we did. I think
yeah, we have a bunch, guys. I'm going to start throwing them up. We have 5 more right here. So
you want to read them to us, Law, or you want me to read them?
We'll read them.
Robert says, "No more talking about nothing, boys, for $2. Amen to that."
Luke has never been happier.
To everyone.
Cody, we got our guy.
Yeah, thank you, Mo, for the super chat. It did happen. Something finally happened. Brother Seamus, great day to be a Cubs fan. King Tuck. Oh, I like that. King Tuck, like right field. Yeah. Very nice. And Gage Workman, it's now your time. Carlos, yeah. I suppose he could be the third baseman. I suppose that's possible.
Russell says, for the people saying this is our only move this offseason, wrong. This deal shows the Cubs are finally serious. Don't stop now, Jed's league.
That's it.
I'm so serious when I said that in the first segment. Like this, there is absolutely no way that you make this move and then do nothing. They're going to complete this trade for Bellinger, and we'll be doing another emergency podcast whenever that happens. And then my next big question after that is, are they moving Nico still? Are they still considering that? And if they do, they're going to move Shaw to second. But then Gage Workman ain't going to be the starting third baseman, man. And as the president of the Miles Mastroboni fan club, even I don't want him to be starting at third base. So that's the next thing. Like, who's going to be the third baseman if that plays out? Or will they keep Nico and play Shaw at third? That's the big question for me next. And also, we all know that they need another starting pitcher. I'll continue to eat all kinds of sushi and ramen and whatever for Roki. I'll keep dreaming. I mean, I didn't see this trade happening this week when we were a week ago, so the Delulu has never been higher, Luke. The Delulu has never been higher. If you need to get like 3 or 4 spray bottles out, I'm just saying, so there are a lot of things that need to happen for this team to be taken serious. This is a huge step, getting a player of this caliber it's not like the Cubs are far away though. Like we all know that they are a decent team. They won 83 games the last 2 years. If they were bad, they would have won like 70. Like
shout out to our guy, Alex.
They just need
Cohen.
to keep going, you know.
Alex Cohen tweeted this, and I think in regards to the third base position, because that's obvious. We need to figure out who the third baseman's going to be next year. Matt Shaw played a hell of a third base with Team USA this summer and fall. He looked really good there. His manager called him the best defensive player on the team, and the third base coach said he had no qualms about Matt Shaw playing third base in the big leagues. You know, the guy the bat looks ready. I think we saw that in AAA last year. It looked ready. The defense and seeing if he could play third base, I mean, that's a huge bonus. I don't know if the Cubs knew that right away that he could play that well at third. Obviously, the step up in talent in major leagues is going to be a little bit different from playing on Team USA. But listen, that seems to be the move. They wanted to open up a spot for this guy. And like I said yesterday, there was no way they were trading him for a 1-year rental. Jed is a methodical thinker with trades. We haven't seen a lot of these big swings from him. We're seeing one today, which is great. But we knew, and I could go to bed and put my head on my pillow at night knowing the Cubs were not going to risk a guy like Matt Shaw's caliber for a 1-year deal. And I think right now, I think he's going to be the starting third baseman. That just feels the way that it's headed right now.
Well, he's the only one of that. I mean, it wasn't going to be Cam Smith this year anyway. So listen, guys, I have to go, but I have some notes that I want to drop here before I go. Number one, you were 10 games behind the Brewers. Now they've lost Devin Williams too. Their Adames is gone. Devin Williams is gone. Corbin Burns is gone. Counsell is gone. They're all gone. The door is open. It couldn't be any more open. So this is the time for the move. Number two, you can't hang on to your prospects forever. If you do that, you're going to end up getting nothing for Brennan Davis like you just did. You can't do it. So sooner or later, you got to gamble on some of these prospects. And number three, if and when they deal Bellinger, which certainly seems like it would be coming now, something else will be coming back. And this move, even if at worst case scenario, it's a 1-year rental of Tucker, okay? It buys you another year to figure out what Owen Casey is. Mm-hmm. It buys you one more year to let Casey ease his way into the team and see what it is. And then say his deal's off the books in 2 years. Whatever you want to do after that, all those things can still happen. But the main thing out of this is what Cody's been saying. Jed, this is half of the job. Half of the job is done. The other half is to go to Tom Ricketts and say, open up the bank. Go to the bank, take out the card, and if it means paying 30, 40, 50 million more than you want to convince this guy that he shouldn't hit in a robust market right now, do it. Go ahead and get the guy under contract. Make him fall in love with Wrigley, show him around, and then open up the paycheck or the checkbook for him. Real quick, one more super chat. Let's trade Nico and Belly for some pitchers. Bush moves to second and sign Alonso. The opportunities are there. I think this is the most exciting day in the history of CHGO Cubs. Absolutely. It's better than any Friday 120 club. It's better than the Bellinger signing. It's better than
the Morel walk-off against the White Sox. The only other day I can think of.
It's better than the Esteban Quiros game. It's better than all of those things. This is the day. And so I will say to you, this is the show of all shows. We've got how many people watching? 1,000 people watching the live YouTube show. Yeah. This is the way to do it. Make sure you subscribe to be a diehard. This is a great time to do it. Get all of Ryan's information the rest of the off season. It comes with discounts. It comes with all of that great stuff. We had more than 800 people last month sign up to be a diehard. This is the time to do it. Finally, life in one of our Chicago sports teams. I'm so excited. You guys take over. I'm going to hang up and listen. I got to go change my pants.
All right. Well, with that said, I'd like to read this quote that I saw on Twitter. I think Tony Gill threw it into our Slack channel. It's from Jesse Rogers. It says, this is Kyle Tucker on joining the Cubs. And again, from Jesse Rogers saying, I've already talked to some of Tucker's people, and he is beyond thrilled to be joining what he said was an iconic franchise. Jesse Rogers said that on MLB Network. So
the franchise, the fan base should be thrilled for him.
Absolutely. Now, this is to me, it's like today, for forever, however long. Today is the beginning of convincing Kyle Tucker that this organization is serious about winning, and about, being a consistent winner and contender and not only in this division, but just, making deep playoff runs. He's used to doing that with the Astros, man. Like that. Do I think money is a thing? For sure? Yes. But he also he's got to want to be here too, so
he won a World Series with the Astros, right?
Right. Wrigley Field sells itself. The fan base sells itself. He's going to go out. He's going to run out to right field. Imagine Kyle Tucker running out to right field, the first home game of Wrigley. He's going to realize that it's freaking cold, but whatever. Once he gets into June and he realizes what a Friday 120 with all the people in the bleachers and just the absolute vibe it is to be at Wrigley Field, that will sell him on Wrigley enough. But the organization has to sell him on how much they care about winning. You know what I mean? Like, that's why the rest of this offseason, to me, is so important on showing him that, hey, we want to win. We want to be in the race. We want to win this division. We want to own this division. Like I said, it's just the first step of many, but man, what a huge step. I'm so proud of Jed. I can't believe I'm saying it. I'm very proud of Jed. I feel like a proud dad. I feel like a proud dad.
Yeah, I think when we keep talking about how big of a move this is, I keep going back to kind of what Jed and Carter Hawkins both said this week. Like, and I think the quote I'm thinking of specifically was Jed, but talking about making moves that aren't just marginal improvements, right? Like we've talked about all offseason how they have to make trades, but they weren't looking to just make a trade to make a trade, right? We felt like the position player group, the lineup just needed a different look, needed to shake things up, but they weren't just interested in making a move for the sake of having a different look, right? Like they wanted to make a move that they feel truly improves their position player group, truly improves the offense. And this is it, right? Clearly, I don't have to say that. Like, this is it. This isn't a marginal improvement for the sake of making a trade, for the sake of making a deal and getting a different look. Like, this is a move that Kyle Tucker, you're going to put him in the middle of your lineup. Obviously, you're going to knock on wood that he stays healthy next year and that he's going to, produce like a middle of the order, one of the top bats in baseball, right? Like I think I said it on the show yesterday. I think he had 23 home runs in 339 plate appearances, something like that, in 78 games. Like, I think that would have been second on the Cubs this year, second or third.
It's crazy.
And he played in half the games of the season. Like, the power potential is there. The power potential is what the Cubs just what they lacked. And the slug, all that stuff, especially from the left side. That's another huge part of it too. But a slugger, a guy that can go out and change the game consistently with one swing of the bat. They have guys that can hit some home runs, but no one that was hitting 30 home runs plus. They just didn't have that on this club, or at least anyone that you feel confident can consistently do that. Like Kyle Tucker is that, and even though he was hurt last year, that's what he showed he can be for this team. And so, it's obviously you like the move. This is a win now type of move, more of a win now move than anything. Again, this is trading future wins for current wins, but you're willing to go in for a guy that could be a 1-year rental because you have to improve this team. Like the playoffs were already the expectation for next season. Like that was would seem like a failure if the Cubs didn't make the playoffs next season. Now you've done a big move. You've made a big move geared towards getting you to the playoffs next season. I still don't necessarily see it as Jed Hoyer trying to save his job kind of move, but this is a move that could potentially save Jed Hoyer's job, right?
Hang on a minute. I wanted to get to that because that's kind of what it speaks a little bit to me. There is a part of that makes sense. We don't know what Jed's contract is. That could be maybe.
No. I'm not saying it's not at all about that. Like, there's definitely a part of that because making the playoffs is potentially saving his job next season.
Correct.
But I'm not looking at it as like I'm only making moves to try to save my job and whatever, right? I look at it as like I'm making this move for the betterment of this ball club, and it could also save my job. Like, that's kind of how I look at it because that's kind of how it felt Jed Hoyer was at least what he said publicly. Like that's how he was operating. And this move kind of fits into that. As it's definitely a move that's going to help this team potentially make the playoffs next season, and it could also be a move that Jed Hoyer puts on his resume when it's time to negotiate a new contract.
I have thoughts on this, so I'll get to that, but we got to do some more ads here. I got to shout out to our guys at Sunnyside because they would not have got me through all of this without them. They helped me stay calm. All right. Our friends at Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary are here to elevate your holiday season. It's your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping. They have a crazy selection with over 100 different strains to choose from with easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Wherever you are in Illinois, Sunnyside has a location for you. They have spots as far south as Champaign and as far north as South Beloit. Stop in the store nearest you for expert guidance from their staff or select from quality lines like Cresco or Florcal. Available now is the Good News Island Vibes and a lot more new stuff as well. They got the Scratch and Stash here this holiday season. You can receive a scratch-off card every time you shop now through December 31st. Every card is a winner. You could win big, like 50% off or $100 off your next purchase. It's a great deal, honestly. So hurry in and see what you can win. I always mention this. Corey Freeman loves Mindy Siegel's award-winning chocolates, and because he just cannot stop talking to me about them, I, too, love Mindy's award-winning chocolates. So you, too, can love them by visiting sunnyside.shop for Bright Buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, Bright Buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders. What are the odds for the Cubs to win the division now after this trade?
I would say with the Devin Williams trade today and with this, I'm assuming they went up pretty.
Should we run to Circa right now and bet the Cubs to win the division?
You guys all want to put some money on it? 3 of us, we do a little show pot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But if you are considering on hammering, just hammering the Cubs to win the division, go to Circa Sportsbook. That's where you want to go and do it. Whether it's pro or college, the app to bet football or baseball is Circa Sports Illinois. Circa Sports, it's sports betting the way it should be. Circa Sports Illinois has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. Bet on all your favorite teams in every game this season. Spreads, props, futures, or in-game. Circa Sports has it. Fund and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. Download your new bookie today at circasports.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Unrelated, I am taking Nebraska -4 tonight. Anyway.
I think this trade also means that you can no longer yell right field sucks.
I don't know, man. Sammy Sosa played in right field for a long time. Sammy Sosa played in right field for a long time, and I've always had this belief. Right field, the right field bleachers suck. All right.
You got to be nice to Kyle. At least his first couple of weeks till he gets the lay of the land. Yeah.
Right. Now, back to what we were talking about, though, with Jed's job on the line. I lean with Ryan on that just because I think if someone is operating as if their job is on the line, I think Jed might have given away another prospect. You know, just 3 days ago, people thought it was Seiya Suzuki and Cam Smith and Isak Paredes. You know what I mean? Again, those names were just thrown out there. I don't even know if it was considered a potential trade, but that's what it was perceived at by a lot of fans, I think. And again, I don't know where the conversation started, but obviously the Astros were very interested in Cam Smith and Seiya Suzuki to go with Isak Paredes. So in my experience of watching our Chicago sports teams throughout my life, whenever a GM or a president feels like their job is on the line, sometimes they make desperate moves. You know, Jim Henry, I think you can go back and look at some of the trades he made towards the end of his tenure, and you can make the argument that maybe he was trying to save his job. I don't feel like the Cubs gave up so much here to where I feel like Jed's trying to save his job, because you still have your top prospects that are set to debut next season. You still have Triantos, you still have Shaw, you still have Casey, you still have Alcantara, you still have Cade Horton, right? You even got to keep Ben Brown. They took Hayden Wisniewski instead of Ben Brown. I don't feel like it was a desperate move. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's my 2 cents on that. And who knows? But
I don't think it's like when I say like it's not like to me it doesn't feel like a necessarily a Jed's trying to save a job type of move. Like that's kind of what I mean. Like it doesn't feel like he's desperate to make moves. It doesn't feel like he's panicking and trying to make moves to just throw something at the wall, see what sticks, and try to make the playoffs to save his job. Like this is a clearly like Kevin, you mentioned that he's a methodical guy. Like this is a pretty methodical type of trade of you traded a guy that you just acquired at the trade deadline. You traded a guy that you just drafted and feel pretty good about. And you traded a guy that you acquired a couple of years ago, has had his struggles in the big league level, but does have, that the sweeper still seems like one of the best pitches on that team. Or, well, obviously it was one of the best pitches on that team from Wisniewski. To me, it's just a move that while it will certainly help when Jed Hoyer goes to try to negotiate a new contract, it feels to me more of like outside of all that, this is a move that could help the Cubs make the playoffs and add a really good player to that lineup. And the price to pay might hurt, right? Cam Smith might be he might turn into a really good player at the big league level. And then you're like, dang, the Cubs had that guy in the system. But that's kind of the price you have to pay for a guy that with the ceiling that Kyle Tucker has and what he can bring to this team. Like that's the price you got to pay. And like, I'm glad to see that Jed Hoyer was willing to do it, just knowing that just the risk averse aspect of him as a president of baseball operations, willing to trade potential future wins to try to win now and make the playoffs next season. Like it is a good sign that Jed Hoyer was willing to do that.
I think a lot of people would agree with everything you said there. And I think a lot of people would also like to credit Jed for being Johnny on the spot, because Kyle Tucker was not really mentioned a lot. The end of the year, even with the Astros were a playoff team, they're a perennial playoff team. They've been consistently good every year, 7 straight ALCS appearances, something like, I believe it's 7 straight. So when this guy becomes available, the ability to not waste time, to immediately say, hey, my phone line is open, these guys are available, to not dilly-dally, to not lowball, to be able to execute a deal like this is not easy to do, especially when you have seen, look at the Phillies and what they reportedly offered today. Castellanos and Bohm, that's a pretty damn good offer too. That's a third baseman, but a guy needs to get paid. It seems like the position the Astros were in, they wanted to shed a little bit of payroll and create a little bit of flexibility, which understandable, and to rebuild their farm, maybe pay Fromber because you're looking at how much starting pitching is costing and going up and up and up. But I think deep down, at least speaking for myself and maybe some other people, we all knew Jed was capable of something like this. At least I knew that he had the ability to make a move like this. We haven't seen it, and it's nice to finally see pen to paper here. But he hasn't put the Cubs in a bad position. The Cubs have spent money, maybe not enough. We can all look at the moves that haven't turned out. But he took the Bellinger thing all the way to the end last year, still got him back on a relatively good deal. There are some really good highlighting points that Jed has shown that he knows what the hell he's doing.
Yeah, and willing to hold firm, willing to kind of hold his ground on things, and not
100%. Yeah,
like I said, if it was Paredes, Suzuki, and Smith, it would have felt a lot worse than what they eventually ended up giving up.
If it would have been what people thought 3 days ago when Ken Rosenthal put that article out, I would have eventually been able to talk myself into feeling good about it. But in the moment, I would have been mad, because to me, and it's largely because of Seiya Suzuki being in that trade. Because if you're trading Seiya Suzuki and adding Kyle Tucker, you're not improving anything. You're just flipping a guy and saving $5 million. I guess the next thing would have been, okay, are you going to go sign Pete Alonso and DH him and let Michael Busch play first base? Are you going to go sign Alex Bregman? Like it would have been all about like what happens after the Bellinger trade. Like that's the way I would have looked at it. But in the moment, I absolutely would have been concerned more so than happy. So the fact that it came down to this, like, again, hell of a job by Jed here. And, we'll see what happens moving forward.
Yeah, I wanted to mention, I was just kind of thinking as soon as it went down, obviously, like what this means for the Cubs, like outfield group moving forward. Because like right now, like the Cubs have, Ian Happ, Pete Armstrong, Cody Bellinger, Seiya Suzuki, and then you got Alexander Canario, who I believe, out of options. Kevin Alcantara and Owen Casey. That's a pretty large outfield group with solid options, either that have proven at the major league level or with a lot of potential on the prospect side. To me, feels like a Cody Bellinger trade becomes even more likely now. I know that had gained a lot of steam at the winter meetings. I heard a lot of things about that, but that in my mind makes it seem even more likely that Cody Bellinger's gone. Like I don't know exactly what that's going to be for, but Jed Hoyer did talk about the if to trade from the outfield surplus, they're not necessarily. He did pretty much say if they're going to trade from an outfield surplus, it's got to be a move that makes sense for them. And I still feel that way. They're not just going to trade Cody Bellinger for nothing. I don't think, but this move does make it seem more like Cody Bellinger, that they're going to trade Cody Bellinger at some point. Now, on the flip side of that, with the Suzuki stuff, and the few days ago, when talking about his agent Joel Wolf talking about he'd be willing to waive his no trade clause, and and in certain situations he wants to play the field, he wants to get back to playing in the field, that kind of stuff. I think if Cody Bellinger's gone, of course, Kyle Tucker he's not a bad defender by any means, but he's not like a Gold Glove caliber outfielder or right fielder.
Not perennial. He did win one.
Yeah. Okay,
he's not a perennial.
Yeah, not perennial. Right? He's a good outfielder, but it's not like I don't think it's a guy that this guy needs to be in the outfield every single game, right?
He's not as good as Cody Bellinger in the outfield.
Yes. So when I say that, it's if Seiya Suzuki wants to get back to playing in the field, this move feels like to me that, hey, this should open up. You're talking about the best defensive lineups or whatever for the Cubs, and not Seiya Suzuki not wanting to DH, but it doesn't feel like Kyle Tucker would push Seiya Suzuki back into an everyday designated hitter role. I feel like this opens up maybe more opportunities for both of them to share time in right field, right? I think so. If Seiya wants to get back into playing, he wants to play more on the field again. This could present that opportunity in that way. Whereas Cody Bellinger just felt like he was just clearly the better defender and needed to be in right field. I just don't feel exactly that same way with Kyle Tucker, and I think that could potentially I don't want to say salvage that relationship with Suzuki, but it's just here, this opens up more opportunities where you guys can split a little bit more time in the outfield.
Yeah. I as we know, the Cubs want to utilize that DH role with multiple people. And that's why it's hard for me to think that they're serious about a guy like Pete Alonso, unless they're moving Bush, which personally I'm not a fan of. But that's, again, there's so many different scenarios that you can go down. But yeah, as far as Bellinger, yesterday out of New York, it was reported that Will Warren, which is their number 5 prospect in their system, was the Cubs were interested in him as part of a Bellinger deal. I don't know too much about him, but that's just the base of it. So we'll see what else is part of that potential deal. But I honestly, I'd be surprised if it doesn't happen today too. We might be doing 2 emergency podcasts here. So we'll see.
Maybe I'm not giving Kyle Tucker enough credit for his defense, but I will admit I didn't watch a lot of Kyle Tucker over the last few seasons.
He's an above average.
He's a good defender,
but he's not the upper echelon of. He's not a Mookie Betts right fielder. He's not a Cody Bellinger, but he's good. He won a Gold Glove out there. I mean, he is a very more than a serviceable outfielder. But your point makes sense. I mean, they're going to. This is why Craig Counsell is here. Craig Counsell is here to utilize the DH in multiple ways. Platoon guys. Craig loves platoons. That's why I still think that, the Pete Alonso thing might be a pipe dream, but it might not be, because Craig loves the lefty righty platoon at first base. He loves being able to switch guys in and out of the DH role. It's a big part of his job. It's the reason he's making so much money, is to make those lineup decisions. So yeah, no, Kyle Tucker's a good defender, but this Seiya's not going to be pigeonholed to DH because of this role. Yeah. There's going to be injuries. Guys get hurt. He's going to play in the outfield this season. Now, he's not the starting right fielder right now, but he's still going to be able to do both. And, whether or not he's upset about that, I'm not sure. But he's not a full-time designated hitter. The Cubs don't have a full-time designated hitter. So this is going to be kind of fascinating, though, the subsequent move that comes next, because right now you're right. There's too many cooks. They have too many guys, and still kind of short in that starting pitching realm, and still definitely short in the reliever realm. So you could use a trade chip to go get a guy. There's so much smoke around the Mariners right now. I mean, Luis Castillo has been mentioned with like 4 or 5 different teams with 2 years left on his deal. It's relatively affordable for a guy of his caliber. I know the young guys, Brendan is crazy about Kirby, and, there's a lot of talent over there, and they need hitters, and they need controllable talent that's on the cheaper end for the infield. So that's why there's smoke around Horner. They're not done making moves is basically what I'm saying here. And it feels like an outfield move is inevitable here. It has to be, right? And there's not enough room on the 26 man, and they still need to fill out other roles to make this team a true championship contender, which is what the Kyle Tucker move signifies right now.
Yeah. This has been an incredible 45 minutes, but I want to shout out to everyone in the chat. Law is telling me that we have over 1,000 people in here still. If you have not hit the like button, please hit the like button. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. This is what we do, man. This is what makes us unique compared to the rest of anyone else in Chicago media. The moment something happens, boom, we're right here. Literally, the moment that passing tweet came out, we had the StreamYard up. Law fired it up, and we were here, and we were reacting, and I'm screaming in happiness for once. All right, so I appreciate y'all for being here, and again, hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't. There was a tweet that Jeff Passan sent about how Kyle Tucker's been underappreciated over the last handful of years. Law, if you want to bring that up. He says Kyle Tucker is among the most underappreciated players in baseball. In 78 games last year, he put up more than 4 WAR, hitting .289, 408 on base percentage, a .585 slugging with 23 homers and 11 stolen bases. Since getting full-time at-bats in 2021, he's been a consistent 5-win player. He is precisely what the Cubs needed. And I couldn't agree more.
Okay. Clearly, I underappreciated his defense. I'm getting yelled at about in the chat. I just looked up some more numbers, and he's a good defender. He's a pretty good defender. But I would still say, like, it does present a situation where, like, I think that he doesn't need to be in right field every single day because his bat is so good. But I think part of my thinking was Cody Bellinger's wasn't the hitter that Kyle Tucker was. Obviously,
not even close. Yeah, not even close.
But and so, like, to get, I think, the most out of Cody Bellinger, like it was needed to be in right field. Plus, it was like a situation where they're trying to bank wins, and having the best defensive lineup in the field help them do that. Like, Kyle Tucker can still help them win games even if he's not in right field. And so I was wrong. Okay, yeah, Kyle Tucker's a good defender, and I'll give him that credit because I underappreciated when I looked at a couple things. But yeah, there you go. He's a good defender. He's a good defender, but I think it could still be a situation where Seiya doesn't need to be the everyday DH.
There's one comment in here that I'm going to point out from Chris, who says that he has a .229 batting average in the playoffs. And all I can say is that you got to get to the playoffs, man. You got to get to the playoffs. You got, like, Aaron Judge. We all talk about his bad playoff numbers all the time, but would you take Aaron Judge on your team? Absolutely, brother. Okay, like, just miss me with that. Chris, if you're upset about Kyle Tucker being on this team, give me a better reason than that. I'm sorry. Give me a better reason than that. That's lazy, in my opinion.
What kind of pitchers do you play in the playoffs, Chris? The best pitchers in the league are in the postseason. That is why his average is low. That's not a good reason to be mad.
I think it's fair to have concern about the possible contract extension. Of giving that contract extension, will ownership pony up the money? It's absolutely fair to be concerned about that. But if you don't want Kyle Tucker because he hit .229 in the playoffs and however many at bats that is, God, just enjoy the moment right now, man. Enjoy the moment. The Cubs got better today, and that's the biggest thing to me.
They got a lot better today. And yes. I think one thing we haven't talked about a lot, we definitely haven't overlooked how good Kyle Tucker is, but we've overlooked a little bit of how we're talking about his defensive metrics and his base running. And it almost feels like, to me, and the reason I call Jed methodical, it almost feels like he has a list of, like, 10 to 12 players that if they became available, boom, I want that guy because he gives me 5 or 6 tools. Kyle Tucker is a complete 5-tool player. I mean, he runs the bases well. He had a 30 stolen base season a couple of years ago when he's healthy. He plays this high-level defense. The Cubs right now, if Kyle Tucker is the same kind of defensive, if he levels, is on par with the same metrics defensively he's had over the years, the Cubs have 5 or 6 Gold Glove level players in their defense right now. That means something. And it means a lot more than people think. I know it's an offensive league and people look at runs but defense means a lot. I mean, how many, Ian Happ last year didn't have the best year, but still won a Gold Glove and saved a couple games with throwing guys out. Kyle Tucker will do the same thing in right field. When you watch a team that's bad defensively, especially in the outfield and especially at Wrigley Field where it matters a lot, that right field corner is really hard to play in. We're going to see that come up a lot this year, and it's going to mean something. Whereas, Juan Soto, not as good of a defender over there. So maybe that's the reason Jed didn't want to shell out $750 million for the guy. And he was more willing to give up more capital in terms of player capital to go get a guy who has more tools. He's not as good of a hitter, but he has more tools. That's my opinion.
I'm being told that Chris is just a sad Astros fan, so he's coping. I'm sorry, Chris. I didn't mean to necessarily yell at you. You're not the only person who has said that to me in the last 24 hours, and I just think it's lazy. So if you're just coping, listen, I've been there. I've been doing a lot of coping the last 6 years. So, anyway, I'm just. What do we think happens next?
I was about to ask you guys the same question. I don't know. I think Cody Bellinger becomes a Yankee or a Mariner. I think Nico Horner stays. I think Nico Horner is your second baseman. Unless you can trade both of those guys for one of Seattle's elite starting pitchers, if that's the cost to go get a guy like, Luis Castillo or George Kirby, especially, if that's the price you need to pay, then I'm down. Absolutely, I'm down.
Yeah. I think someone's asking about what we could get or what we would get for Bellinger. And I think it's pretty clear that you're not going to get a ton for him. Now, it was reported that the Cubs are now willing to eat some of that money because they were trying to just move the entire contract as a whole. And it's been reported over the last 24 hours that they're willing to eat some of the money. So maybe they could get a better package. Again, I mentioned that prospect, the number 5 prospect in the Yankees system. If you can get that, maybe a reliever
isn't that where Hayden Wesneski was? Isn't that where Hayden Wesneski was when they traded Efros for him? Hayden was like their 7th prospect, like so right
he was
on.
He was like a top 10 guy in their system. Yeah.
Okay, so similar return. Okay.
If you can get if you can get some pitching, like in my Twitter space the other day, Clark Schmidt was mentioned to me as something that maybe they could get for Bellinger. It's just just know that they're not going to get a ton for Bellinger because of the contract, unfortunately. And it's large, not because of the $27.5 million this upcoming year, but the $27.5 million the following year if he opts in. So it's unfortunate, but I think that the move, if you want to look at it at a positive way and maybe have a little delulu like me, you move that contract and it opens up some money on the books. And, maybe they flip and get aggressive on the free agent market. That's there's no signs that say that they will because considering what Jed has said, but I would like that to be a thing,
Yeah, Pete Alonso would be awesome on this team in this lineup. Pete Alonso is a 40, 50 home run hitter every year. And right now his market doesn't seem like that's going to surpass $200 million. Looks like it'll be a 6 to 7 year deal below 200 million. So, man, I'm all for that. Pete Alonso is a great hitter as well. Not as good of a hitter all around as Kyle Tucker, but can give you that slug. And then you can platoon Michael Busch and put Michael Busch in other spots. Sure. But that would be great. The Cubs have been linked to him for a long time. That would be awesome, but I'm not expecting it after this move.
We talked about Kyle Tucker, obviously, needing to extend him after this next season. What do you think the Cubs are looking at? So Juan Soto just got $765 million, and I think what Kyle Tucker's 3 years older than
3 years
Juan Soto
older.
is.
Yeah.
He's not quite what Juan Soto is, but he's a pretty damn good hitter, obviously. I don't know. What do you think the Cubs are looking at if they were to extend him? It would. I think it would absolutely blow away what their top was. It what is it? Is it still Hayward? Is it 184?
Yeah, it's Hayward. Yeah,
I think it would absolutely blow that away. I just don't know. What do you guys think it probably gets to start?
What? So he was. I've said this on the show the other day. He was hurt last year, and it's that season was really the only year that he's had an injury problem. So, say he plays at the pace that he did last year, which was for 78 games. If he does that pace for 162 or even 150, he could easily be anywhere between a 6 and 7 WAR player, which wouldn't surprise me considering he's going into a walk year. Like, he's playing to make the most money that he possibly can probably make. I'm envisioning a massive deal. We're talking worth anywhere from $350 to $400 million, maybe even more, depending on what he does and the market. So yeah, it is a massive, and I'll say it this way, opportunity for the Cubs to shift perception and show that they're a big market team and they are willing to act like a big market team. Godfather in our chat, who's been here for 2.5, 3 years, man, he might say something nice about Ricketts if they actually get that done. You know what I mean? He just said in the chat, Law has it up. Gonna resign him? I think not. And I don't blame you for feeling that way, man. I really don't. So again, I'm setting it as this is an opportunity. We'll see how a season goes. And we'll see. Maybe they will get a contract extension done in season. I don't think they will, but maybe what his agent was saying was all about having to do with leverage and a possible trade. Maybe he's open to it. It's not like he's a Boris client.
It's going to double the Hayward contract. No question. It's going to double it. And it's going to depend on what he does this year, right? Mm-hmm. If he wins MVP, yes, people, that is possible that Kyle Tucker wins an MVP in a Cubs uniform. He is that good, and he has proven that he's that good. If he wins MVP, that contract's going to be over $400 million. Otherwise, I projected in the area of around, probably $350 to $400 million, around the Mookie Betts level deal, just because of his age. But again, I mean, these baseball contracts are crazy, and the Cubs, where they are right now financially, they would have Seiya and Happ this year and next season fully coming off the books the following year. So you could negotiate a contract that has something that keeps you potentially, if you want to still stay under that luxury tax, the following year, those two contracts, they're both of their contracts, and then Tucker's big contract kicks in the following year. That's also a tactic, and the Cubs will have the payroll flexibility to do something like that because they don't have a lot of money tied up in long-term deals. A lot of these starting pitchers and relief pitchers, Pete Crow Armstrong, for example, isn't a free agent until 2031. I mean, Justin Steele not till 2028. So you will have the flexibility to give out a big contract, and there's no question about it that if Kyle Tucker has a year that he's had over the last, his body of work, if it's on par with the last 4 years, it's going to be around that $400 million mark.
Yeah. 10 years. I forgot to read this super chat earlier from Chris. Tucker, he says Tucker adds pop. $1.99 from Chris Lawler. Tucker adds pop. Will it put us over the top? And I think we've talked a lot about how not just him alone. They need to keep going. We'll see what happens. And then our guy brags. This is funny because he says, what should be my Friday 120 club sign at the Chris Kendall Wrigley Market be for this move? Thanks for doing something, Jed. Need some help here. Brags, I just want to let you know that the Chris Kendall Market is not happening at Wrigley this year because of the Winter Classic and other things that are going on at the ballpark. I'm actually kind of sad that it's not happening. So don't show up to Wrigley with the sign saying that. At least if you're going to the Chris Kendall Market, you could just go stand outside the marquee.
He should definitely still go there. That's a good idea.
You just show up outside the marquee with the sign, and hold it up. Yeah. You just point it at the big building. Thanks for doing something, Jed.
Yeah.
So anyway,
you go. I know Northwestern's playing another football game there. They're playing Michigan there. You could just go root for the Cats, his favorite Big Ten team. I don't know. You go to the Winter Classic. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's going to be a fun vibe, though, man. Kyle Tucker in the outfield, Friday 120 Club. That's going to be fun. That's going to be a good time.
We gotta. I guess we need to get out of here since we've been at a minute. But I want to end by saying that like the vibes at Cubs convention will be 10 times better than they've probably been the last 5 years, and that includes a year that they had to skip it. So that excites me. We'll see what happens between now and Cubs convention. But for now, I'm feeling pretty good about the possibilities, and I will continue to ride the highs and lows of my Delulu and my optimism that I suddenly have that I just haven't had for a long time. And I think for a lot of fans who are who are questioning this move, man, like I've tweeted a few times, like just try to find a way to enjoy it, because we haven't had anything to be excited about for a long time, dude. Like, I get the concern, but the Cubs are trying to put a winner out there. You know, like, would you rather run the same team back and come to our YouTube chat and yell and scream about, you know, Swanson not driving in a run or something like that, or, you know, Seiya not driving in a run? Like, I think this move certainly helps Seiya. Having Tucker either in front or behind Seiya in the lineup, I think Tucker in the lineup will make everyone will be better, you know, and on top of the fact that you're also going to a year where you get to see Matt Shaw and potentially Owen Casey too be like that added bonus to the offense. Like, there's just, to me, with adding Tucker, it just shows that they're trying, and it just hasn't felt like they've been trying the last handful of years, like trying enough, though they do the bare minimum. This is the first time in a long time where I feel like they're willing to take a big swing. And I don't know how many times we've used that term on our show the last, you know, year. And it's a lot, though. And to see them actually do it and finally put themselves into that position, like I said this week, they're in position to be in position. They are now in position to like be a real team. And you got to keep going. Got to add some pitching, add a couple relievers, this and that. Maybe Roki Sasaki will be a Chicago Cub. I don't know, but I'm just excited I'm excited for opening day. And I haven't been able to really say that the last couple of years outside of just the fact that I like baseball. But now I'm actually really excited about the team and where it could potentially go.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, it's a big swing, one we haven't seen Jed or this front office in general make in a long time. But still feels like they got to do more. And I know that, you know, in talking to, talking at the winter meetings, like they are still looking to do more. And it may not be at this level of a Kyle Tucker size swing, but they know that the job's not finished, right? Kobe Bryant said it, job's not finished. There's still work to do to make this team a for sure playoff team. And like, you know, I get it. The teams in the division seem to be making it a little easier with what they're doing. But if they want to be on a level where they're truly competing, especially for a World Series title, like I'm not saying that should be the expectation for next season, but like if they want to get there, like there's work to be done, and it doesn't end at Kyle Tucker. But it obviously is a massive swing for this front office for Jed Hoyer, and I guess we'll see how it happens. We'll see how going to Wrigley Field, see how what Kyle Tucker is able to do when he puts on a Cubs uniform and steps out into that field. I guess it would be in Tokyo now, not necessarily opening day, but it's going to be interesting to see exactly what he adds to an offense that we saw last season go through large spells of poor production as a whole. Kyle Tucker feels like a guy that won't let that happen, or at least like a guy that if they need someone to carry an offense for a couple of games, like Kyle Tucker feels like he could be that guy. Also, again, apologies to Kyle Tucker for completely underselling your defense. I didn't do my homework, and I should have, instead of just talking off my thoughts. My mind's in a. I haven't slept or ate all week. Like my mind is in. You know
that Shaquille O'Neal meme.
I wasn't familiar with your game.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with your game. Yeah, that one, the one from the TNT inside the NBA.
Does Ryan not know ball?
Defensive ball. No, I know hitting. That's what I was worried about.
Kevin, you got anything else, man? Then we'll go get out of here.
I just wanted to ask. Ryan didn't answer. What's the next move the Cubs make? Real quick, 30 seconds. What are they doing? You were at the winter meetings. You heard all that stuff, so that you care about. Everyone cares. I want to hear your opinion more than my own. So
feels like Cody Bellinger's getting closer. I mean, like we could say Roki Sasaki could be a potential, but he's not going to sign until at the earliest January 15th, right? So he's still got a long time till then. Feels like the way the roster is constructed, the things we've heard, Cody Bellinger feels like, well, whether that's to the Yankees or not, or another ball club, it feels like that could potentially be the next move that's made, or maybe they sign a reliever that we're like they were just not even talking about at this point. But as far as like what they have on the roster and if they're shipping anyone out, feels like Cody Bellinger would be the next domino to fall.
We'll see. We'll be here if it happens. I'm assuming it's worth an emergency podcast, I guess. I think it could happen today. If not today, tomorrow. So we'll continue to monitor that. And like I said earlier in the show, we at CHGO Sports, we're just built different, because as soon as this trade happened, we were here and we were ready to talk about it, break it all down. And that's why you should become a diehard. All right. So you become a diehard, you get to read all of Ryan's content. You can get 20% off on merch, events. Friday 120 clubs are going to be a vibe. Those are actually free to come to. Well, you have to buy your own ticket, but if you come to them, it's just all part of being a diehard, honestly. But there's just so much that comes with being a diehard here at CHGO Sports, and we also give you these shows, and we're just right here, as soon as things happen, and that makes us unique, in my opinion. So become a diehard today, and all of Ryan's content, especially now that this trade has happened, interested to read a lot of it. And I think another thing, for me at least, it's going to be fun reading about the Cubs again. Everything I've been reading about the Cubs the last 5 years has made me want to put my head into a wall. So not that it's bad, it's just that the organization has been frustrating. Now I'm excited to read all of the Kyle Tucker content. I am, legitimately.
Yeah, so. Is Ken Rosenthal going to call him Dorks of the Week this week? I don't think so.
Well, I did love Ken Rosenthal's. What did he call Ricketts? He called the Cubs. He said that Ricketts is running the organization like a Midwest bank. Yes,
efficient Midwest bank.
Yeah. So I have enjoyed the Ken Rosenthal jabs at Cubs ownership these last couple of weeks. I will say that.
I did want to say I've been tasked by Tony Gill to do more in the Cubs Discord. So I will be doing more of those and hopping in with you a little bit more, Cody, on that. Really looking forward to getting to talking to everybody a little bit more. Sure. And hopefully more stuff like this, because we all want to talk about the Cubs all the time, especially with the way the last season has been, venting, whatever, enjoying and celebrating moments like this. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm, hopping in with you guys, are just doing some on my own too. So you'll see me in there from time to time. I look forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll have a lot of stuff coming on Kyle Tucker trade. I'll have another big piece on just other things that we learned about the Cubs, heard about the Cubs at the winter meetings that I was gonna put out, but then the Kyle Tucker news dropped, so had to put that one on the back burner for a little while. But so I'll have more stuff coming, a lot of stuff for the diehards over at allchgo.com. So become a diehard, get access to all that if you want. I would really appreciate it if you did, because I do work hard on this stuff. But I'll have more stuff coming from the winter meetings in general, but for sure with Kyle Tucker.
Yeah. I like all of the comments that we're getting as we end here. Sickos unite in the Discord, and sickos unite in this chat every day. And so that's what it is. We're all a bunch of sickos, and we're obsessed about the Chicago Cubs and Chicago sports in general. So good reasons to become a diehard at CHGO. So more following up upon all this stuff. I'll probably jump in the Discord tonight, do a voice chat, talking with all the sickos about this more and what's to come and stuff like that too. So admittedly, we need more hours in the day. I am an exhausted human this week, and we need more hours in the day, but we're just gonna keep on keeping on. All right. So stay tuned for more breaking news. Follow along with us on social media, of course, and all the stuff, because it's an exciting time to be a Cubs fan. I can't believe I'm saying it. It's a beautiful time. It's exciting time. So we'll see y'all in the next episode. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs Emergency Podcast. Kyle Tucker's a Chicago Cub. Fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.